we're out here elk hunting, and we got the wild hare to bushcraft tonight. So Greg's lighting our long fire, and we're still building the frame for our shelter. We're using 3 tarps, and we're going to see how this works out. It's supposed to be down in the 30s tonight, and we have no sleeping bags, just sleeping pads and clothes. The truck's about 3 miles away. So what we're doing is using all natural materials. We did not pre-select this site. We just found a spot in the woods that looked good. Let's secure this one first. Use a half hitch. Go over. This is more of a package thing than a bushcraft, I think, but the half hitches hold pretty well. You can really tighten them down. Not necessarily weight supporting, we're just going to tie our tarps to this and build our shelter. This part I've never done before. This takes a little wooden toggle, you put it inside your survival tarp, and you make a loop. In this case, I think we can just put it right over here, and we'll stretch out that side. But we can get it somewhat taut. This is where if you're using a string line to do this, you'd use a pressic knot, and you'd use 2 of these. Far North Bushcraft has a really good video on this, and this is where we learned it. But we're adapting this to our needs.
Nice.
Right on the bottom, get that other tarp. We'll take the little knob there, circle it up. You just make a loop in your loop. Go over it. And then all we need now is a stake. So it cinches down. And a little log out of the way. That'll help hold it. Alright, we've got our shelters pretty well put together. The fire's going, although we are going to throw some much bigger logs on there. One thing I did wrong last time is I just used little sticks. So we got some bigger logs cut, and we're gonna go cut some more big ones. But right now we're just waiting to get a coal base, and we got some stakes that we're gonna throw on there. So I'll let you know how that works out. All right, we got some caveman style stakes going, and we're gonna see how long it takes to boil water in a neat cup that we don't know if it will withstand heat. We'll see how this goes. How are we supposed to zip like it back closed?
It has a ziplock right here.
Oh, okay. I thought you tore blood. I was like, wait a second, what'd you do? We're trying to figure out how to use Mountain House. Yeah. I think it's their first time.
Huh? What?
I think it's your first time using Mountain House.
Yeah, it is.
I thought you threw it below the thing. I was like, what?
No.
But the steaks are done.
Yeah, I want to try a steak.
They're a hair bit on the rare side. And the water is starting to steam. So pretty soon they can have Mountain House. That's the winning.
I think it's fine. We'll call it good enough.
Yeah, I think so. All right, let's see if the 1 cup will fill up the Mountain House. Yeah, let's see what will happen. And then he's 1 1/3. Our long fire is up and running. It's bedtime. See you in the morning. Well, we made it through the night. Well, we did have to get up about a dozen times to stoke the fire and get new wood, or more wood, I should say. But now it's time to go kill some elk. Well, we got onto a few elk, but they were way down into a couple deep, dark holes, and Greg and I didn't have the energy to drop in. Courtney had some bruising going on due to her boots, so she didn't make it too far up the mountain either. But the bushcraft camp that we made out, just want to do a little recap on that as far as things we could have done better. So I think the wood was the #1 issue. It was, I think it was really, had a lot of resin in it, and it was doing a lot of popping during the night. A lot of the coals were popping up over onto our tarps and our emergency blankets. Mine had at least 4 holes that were probably yay big, quarter size, that had burned all the way through, and I had a couple embers that popped in bed with me, and I know Courtney, she got burned on her neck pretty decent, so that was a little bit of an issue. And then whatever it was, I think it was pine, but it didn't last very long. I think it was really dry rotted. It was off the ground, but it wasn't as solid as what it could be. And so some less rotted, less aged stuff would have been better. Lodgepole and fir would have been preferred, and I think would have lasted us a lot longer than what the other stuff did. A lot of that would only last an hour, 2 at best, and we're talking 6-inch logs, and they're burning up that quick. So I don't know if we just had too much space in between them. It was getting too much oxygen where it was burning really fast, or if it's because of the dry rot, the deteriorated situation on those. That contributed to it. Some of the logs that I put on later on lasted longer. One of them had part of the stump on it, and I think that was part of it. It was a lot denser and less rotted. And one of the things that would have really helped us out, I think, and this was in the Far North Bushcraft video, which I'm going to put a link to that one in the description, is Lonnie had a 2 mil plastic that he put over his shelter. Completely, he had the security, or the tarp in there for the heat reflection, and then you had this other layer over the top to help both with weather and heat retention. And then it came down and it shielded you from a lot of those embers popping out and smoke as well. That was one of the other things. Thankfully we didn't have a lot of wind, but we did have some smoke that would blow around and kind of get in our eyes. And so with that plastic, that would help mitigate a lot of that, and as well as it lets the heat through, but not so much escape. So you'd have that. One thing that I wanted to do and we weren't able to do, just because the area that we were in, was stones around the fire. Not just to keep it from spreading potentially, but if you get some nice big stones and you put those all around the fire, those get warm through the night and they hold the heat, and you'll have radiant heat. So even when the fire burns down, you're still going to have that radiant heat coming out. That would be a big help in a situation like that, so you're not having to run around and get as much wood. You know, I had to get up quite a few times during the night and restock, search out, find more wood, cut it by hand, and bring it back. So it was a good experience. You know, they're from Alabama. They'd never done this before. And unfortunately, they had to leave about a day and a half early, so they didn't get all of their hunt in. But they did have a good time, thankfully. And Greg did miss a bull the night that we made our drop camp, or spike camp rather, and bushcrafted out. He did miss a nice 5x5 at 35 yards. Twig got in the way. You know, it happens. And called the bull back in. Courtney might have been able to get a shot off, just a hair beyond her comfort zone, so it's a good thing she didn't shoot. We don't like wounded animals, but you know, it's fun having them right up in your face, up close and personal experience, especially when you're on a hunt like that. You know, you get to see them bugle and chase around. So I hope this video helps you all out, and maybe give you some lessons that you can do better. One thing would be start your campsite selection a couple hours before dark. Even with the three of us, it still took about an hour to really set that up and get it to where we needed it. And so, especially if you're on your own, you know, having your shelter set up, having firewood, finding the firewood initially, that would be your first goal, I would think. And then once you go from there, you can find a more suitable site possibly. But have fun out there. Happy hunting.